Hey world, welcome to Diving Deep with Deepak and Dara, where we talk about deep questions and make them relatable and translatable in your life in 5 minutes or less. We have our first question for Deepak, which is, Deepak, how do you know when to say yes or no to something? And we have our handy timer to give you a minute or less to answer. You may begin.
I ask myself 3 questions. Is what I'm doing fun? Number 1. Number 2, am I engaging with someone who's fun to be with? Number 2, which I'm doing right now. And number 3, will it make a difference and improve people's lives? If the answer is yes to all 3, then I do it. If the answer is no to any one of those 3, then I don't do it.
Okay, and you beat the clock. That was about 32 seconds, so congratulations. So for anyone who's listening, repeat those 3 things. You said fun to be with, and what were your other 2?
Fun to be with, fun as the activity itself, and number 3, will it make a difference? Will it improve people's lives?
So for anyone who wants to follow that rubric and decide for themselves, okay, I could use this metric to figure out what I say yes to and what I say no to, how do you actually deliver a no to someone when you realize it doesn't meet with all 3 of your criteria?
I have slowly over the years become comfortable with being totally transparent, being honest, having no ulterior motive or agenda, and being truthful. As long as you have authenticity, integrity, higher calling, and you take responsibility for what you're doing, and you ignore the phone, then you can do anything you want.
You mentioned a higher calling. I was wondering if that was what was on the line.
That's a call from another stratosphere.
What do those calls sound like?
In a different dimension of space and time.
Oh my goodness, that's for a whole other session. Is there anything you'd want to add about saying yes or no?
I think people have a difficult time saying no, and that's been one of my weaknesses. And it's fine. You grow out of it, and life becomes very comfortable after that because you're being authentic.
Yeah, saying no can be hard if I'm putting myself in the shoes of A, my own authenticity, and B, what I can imagine some of our audience is thinking is you don't want to rub people the wrong way. You want to be liked. You want your reputation to be stellar. So dig into that a little bit more so that we can release that.
If you already are in touch with your innermost being and you have this intimacy with yourself, then you can be intimate in that sense with anyone, because your reflection of your relationships and your communication and your personal interactions and your social interactions are ultimately a reflection of your intimacy with yourself. Most people are not, they don't even know who they are.
Beautiful.
So they go with social constructs. They're kind of bamboozled by anticipation or regrets or all the stuff, which is crazy, which is our crazy, insane world at the moment.
So a reaction to that might be that there is a letting go of other people's reactions because you could perhaps only control your own intention and your own actions, but not someone's reaction. What is your response to that statement?
I think you need to understand the difference between self-power and agency power. So agency power comes from status, comes from money, comes from being CEO of a corporation, comes from influence peddling, comes from cronyism, comes from, these days, comes from mainly money. There's always money in the background, whether it's selling a program or selling a book or selling yourself as a leader in the election. That's agency power. It's very temporary. It doesn't last very long. It depends on the agency. But there's something called self-power, which people need to understand, which is beyond your identity as a body, mind, personality. And that agency power is reflected when people are independent of the good and bad opinions of others, number one. Number two, where they feel beneath no one, or actually superior to no one as well, because at a level of being, we're all equal. And number three, they're fearless. They're not in doubt, because when you're in doubt, you ask yourself, who or what is doubting? And you'll see it's your conditioned ego mind that is doubting. And that's not who you are. So, it takes a little work over the years to get into that frame of mind. But I think that is what self-power is, which we should all aspire to be independent of the good and bad opinions of others. If I was afraid of my critics, then I wouldn't have done what I did for the last 35 years. And so you have to be independent of public opinion. You have to be fearless. And you also don't need to feel superior or inferior. Along with that, you don't have the luxury of being distracted. When you're doing something, you should be present for it. And you should follow common rules that your grandmother, if not your mother, told you. Be polite, be respectful, be deferential, just have good manners. Don't have the luxury of vulgarity, which is part of our political discourse right now.
There's so much goodness in there. And I want to say, because I know so many people who know when we have conversations always ask me, what is Deepak really like? And you really are exactly all those things that you've described. And so
I'm independent of that opinion, Dara.
I know that you are, but I want to say that to people who are listening, because it's important to recognize that you're not just spouting out these things, that you're living and breathing them, and that you in a position of spotlight, not only does that not faze you, but you really are able to separate yourself from that. So if you can do that with all of the eyes that are on you, then so can we. But you said something in there about vulgarity, and this is going to be where I transition into our more mundane or shallow part of our conversation, where I want to ask you a question that you probably don't normally get asked. And in this case, it's, what is your favorite curse word?
I don't have one. To be honest with you, I'm familiar with all the curse words because I hear them from everyone, including the millennials and now the new politicians. And I'm okay with that. I don't personally get offended by curse words. People say what they have to say because the way they're conditioned, so. But I think the key here always is self-awareness.
So you don't use curse words?
I don't. My kids do.
I love it. Well, thank you for answering that. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Again, that is Deepak. As you know, I'm Dara, and this is Diving Deep with Deepak and Dara. If you want to know more from us, subscribe to our YouTube channels and comment. Let us know what you learned and what you'd love for us to talk about in the future. We have a bonus for you. If you want to go even deeper with us, we've recorded a 1-hour free masterclass that includes a guided meditation, which you can access at lifebydesignsummit.com/Deepak. And lastly, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Deepak Chopra and at Dara B. We look forward to diving deep with you again. Thanks for tuning in.